Watching another episode of Harvey Talks Prison. Today I want to talk about this guy I knew in South Central Correctional Center. Kind of crazy. But I think he was from Texas, if I remember correctly. But he started hanging out with me and some of my workout partners. He never did really work out. And after you do 90 days in food service, which is mandatory when you first get to the prison, you can get a job somewhere else. So he tried getting a job. He applied everywhere. And the barbershop hired him. He didn't know how to cut hair. So he was being trained up there, Anyway, I went up there to get a haircut. And usually there's 4 or 5 barbers up there, but there's only 2. And one was him and one was this black guy. And for some reason, I thought that whites cut whites and blacks cut blacks. I mean, I thought that was the rule, But so anyway, he didn't want to cut my hair. He said, I don't know how to cut hair, man. He goes, I just applied to all these different jobs and they hired me on this one. So I said, well, where's everybody else at? And I can't remember what they said. But anyway, I started to leave. Another guy says, I'll cut your hair. And I said, you can't. And back then I had a mullet, believe it or not. I had it from 84 all the way up to 2004. But I said, is that allowed? And the guard that was there, he goes, what do you mean, is it allowed? I said, I thought, he goes, no, anybody can cut your hair. I said, well, do you know how to? He goes, yeah, I can cut your hair. And believe it or not, he did a real good job on it, a real good job. But anyway, one day in the housing unit, I was in housing unit 5 in South Central Correctional Center. This is where this took place. And I got in trouble for something. I can't remember what it is. Guard takes my ID. And he puts it in the bubble. There's a windows all the way around. He has it in right next to the window. You can see it leaning up against the window. And there's this little like chuck hole thing where guards can hand you slips of paper, or you can hand them stuff, And we called this guy Monkey Paws. I don't know, I can't remember his real name because we called him Monkey Paws so much, and it's because of the way his hands were shaped. They were kind of weird shaped. They were small too. And he was coming in the Sally port, and he looks up there and he sees my ID and he recognizes that it's mine. And guards were on the other side. He reaches his hands up in there, grabs my ID, and comes back and said, hey man, what was they going to write you up for? And I told him. He goes, well, here's your ID. I said, how'd you get it back? He goes, I reached my hand up in there and got it. But we hung around him a lot for a long time. But then he started doing his own thing. And he started hanging around this other guy whose name I remember, but I ain't going to mention. And they was going around and they was pressing lames and people they thought was chomos and stuff, And what they would do, they'd pull up on them with shanks, and say, come off the canteen. And most of them did, And some of them told, they was telling a story about one of them said, I'm going to tell, and if you take my canteen, and they just laughed at him. And they didn't care. Well, the other guy didn't do this, but Monkey Paws had a bad habit of pulling the shank out, and showing it to the guys that he was trying to take the canteen from him. And he would tell me every once in a while we were talking, he would tell me that what he was doing. And I told him, I said, man, don't never pull a shank out on somebody unless you plan on using it, And he goes, oh man, it's all right, man. They see that shank and they're scared, and they come up off the canteen. one day I'm out in the yard, and me and another guy was making laps, and the other guy said he had to go to the library or something, and so I figured I'd make one more lap and I'd head in. Workout was done and everything. Here comes Monkey Paws, and he has this funny look on his face. You know, we'd had canteen earlier that day, and he comes up to me. He goes, "Hey, Harv, I want to tell you something, man." I said, "What?" He goes, "Well," he goes, "this lame, Chomo-looking guy comes back from canteen, takes his canteen up. I see him take his canteen up in his cell, and so I come out, you know, with my piece, and waiting for him to come out." He said, I knew he'd come back out. So he said he comes back out and he comes downstairs, and he said I approached him and told him, he said I pulled my piece out and said, "Go back up there and get that bag of canteen and bring it down here to me." And he goes, "No." And I said, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, he told me no." And he goes, "Man, you got to go up there and get that canteen, or it's going to be all bad for him." He said, you know, I was kind of waving the shank. He said the guy starts trembling, pisses his pants, actually. He said it looked like he pissed his pants. This guy, all, you know, and tells him, "Do what you got to do." I said, "So what do you do?" He goes, "Nothing." I said, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, I didn't do anything." And I said, "Well, you have to do something. Now look what you look like." I said, "There was probably people that saw that happen. He's probably going to tell his friends, his little lame friends. The word's going to get around. You have to do something." And I said, "It's going to look bad on you." And as we're walking, and he kind of splits off, you know, and then his buddy pulls up on him, and I hear him telling him, "What?" And he goes, "Yeah, that's what Harv said." So they came over to me, and I said, "Man, you know, it looks bad on him." He goes, "Yeah, I know, man." And he goes, "And I'm his partner. I'm his sidekick in all of this." And he goes, "It's going to look bad on me too. He's got to do something." So I think he went in there and did something. I think he whooped the guy or whatever. I don't know what he did. But he went to the hole, and I don't know if that was the last time I saw him or not. But I know that at one point he wasn't on the, I don't know at what time or another, he wasn't on the camp no more. You know, I don't remember him being there. And all the housing units, and I worked recreation, so I was able to be out with all the housing units, and he wasn't in them, you know. So I guess he got transferred or something. I don't know. But I've always told people, I was told this when I first got to the walls, MSP. The old heads told me, he said, "Man, it's not show and tell. You pull that out, you use it. You're going to, you know, when you pull it out, you're pushing that blade. You don't just show it to people, you know, and threaten people." And so I used to, later on down the road, tell youngsters that. And Monkey Paws just didn't listen to me. And it turned out like I just told you, you know. So I hope nobody goes to prison. You know, make smart choices. Don't go to prison. Stay out of prison. That's the reason we tell these stories. But if for some reason you do, and you're carrying a shank on you, a piece on you, a thumper, a bone crusher, Banky Pound says a Bethlehem, well, you don't pull it out, and unless you're going to use it, you know. And I had one too, and I only used it in self defense. But yeah, you don't just go around showing people. They ain't gonna be a lot of people ain't gonna be intimidated by that. Apparently, this guy was intimidated, but he still stood up to him. Now, it'd been a little bit different if it was somebody that was about something that stood up to him. There probably would have been a fight. But when somebody that's lame stands up to him, it looks all bad. Anyway, that's all I got for you, and I thank you for watching, and see you next time. Bye.